Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden, and in today's video we are going to be going over the top 10 best cheap cars. No, not best cheap, because best doesn't work there. Top 10 cheap cars that are an awful purchase. These are cars that I don't personally recommend buying for a like first car. I usually do videos where I do recommend buying some of these cars that are in this list because they fit that little niche. But overall, if you don't really have a certain vehicle that you're looking for and you just want a random car out there, these are 10 that I would most likely steer clear from, and I'm going to give you the reasons as to why I believe so in the video as well. Also, this is a new GoPro. I told you guys this yesterday, but I'm going to tell you it again. This is a new GoPro, and we're closing in on 100,000 subscribers. So thank you guys for the 100,000 subscribers, and let me know how the new GoPro looks, how it feels, how it sounds, all that stuff, because I want to see if it's good, if it's bad, if it smells like dookie, or if it smells like cherries. Anyway, without further ado, let's go right into the list with number 10. Numero 10 is the third generation of the Ford Taurus show. I literally just recommended this car not too long ago, and people were like, "Yeah, that car's so fast." So why would Mark ever put this bad boy? Why would Mark ever put this bad boy in the old don't purchase spots? Well, it's not a sleeper. It has tons of camshaft. It's not a sleeper anymore because everybody knows about it. Okay, it has a lot of camshaft issues, so that's just a big fart in the wind downside right there that nobody's gonna like. And on top of all of that, I know what you're thinking. Okay, it's got a twin turbo V6. It makes almost 400 horsepower. How could this? It's all-wheel drive. How could that possibly be bad? Because they're unreliable. They're very unreliable. America in general has a history of making very unreliable turbocharged cars. They have always just kind of been like, okay, we're gonna put a turbo on this car, and then it's going to break. And that's the entire selling point on this car. And that's exactly what the third gen Ford Taurus show does. On top of that, it looks like a police car. Why would you want to buy a car that looks like a police car? Come on. Besides the Ford Crown Vic, that one's understandable. But any other ones? Come on. Ninth place is another American car with a turbo, and that's the reason why it's awful. Chevy Cruz first generation. I used to recommend the Chevy Cruz first gen all the time, and I used to say things like, "Oh man, this car is really reliable," and then people in the comments would be like, "This guy's an absolute idiot. What is he talking about?" And so I started looking it up, started doing some of my own little research, and sure enough, they're right. These cars are really unreliable, surprisingly unreliable. You would think a Chevy Cruz first gen, this is like an economy car bundle. You go to Taco Bell and you get the economy car combo, and this is going to be in it. This is the economy car. So how is it unreliable? Again, it's just these American car makers with turbos. They don't know what to do with them. So again, that's its main problem. It's got a turbo. The turbo likes to go. On top of that, I heard a lot of things about the transmission having a lot of issues as well. It doesn't really seem like there's any part of the Chevy Cruz that is reliable. The seats are reliable. That's about it. Coming in at number 8th place is one that's going to probably sit wrong with a couple of people, because you're probably going to be like, well, why in God's name? Because overall, it really is a good car. It's the Saab 9.3. The Saab 9.3, like I just said, is overall a very good car. They're reliable. They're decently quick. They're underrated. They have a pretty decent aftermarket support system there for it. It's got a cool community. The Saab community is probably the coolest community in the entire car community. These guys are freaking so loyal to their craft. It's insane. But the reason why I put it here is, unfortunately, the parts are incredibly hard to find. Saab went under, and I know that they can share parts from Subarus, they can share parts from Chevys, because they pretty much are just rebadged versions of other cars. So I get that, but if you want a genuine OEM Saab parts, it's so hard to find. And I know that's a small reason, and so you might not care, especially since there's aftermarket parts out there. You could buy an aftermarket thermostat, it probably will be okay. But if you're the type of guy that likes to buy the OEM stuff, keep it stock, keep it original, it's going to be really hard for you with the Saab 9.3. 7th place is one that kind of hurts me to put here, because I really do like these cars and I think they're quite underrated. It's the Hyundai Tibron. The Hyundai Tibron GT in particular is honestly, in my opinion, decently quick. If you like the 7th gen Celica GT, if you like that car, then you'll probably like the Hyundai Tibron GT. It has around the same horsepower, around the same tuning potential. It's pretty much the same car. But the reason why it's on this list is they are ridiculously neglected. Every single Hyundai Tibron I've ever seen on Facebook Marketplace has been a death trap waiting to happen. It is terrifying, and as a first-time buyer, you should not be the one to go there and try and test your luck on that car. You should not. That should be for mechanics that can go there and see if it actually is a piece of dookie, or if it's just a couple pictures that looked bad or something like that. But overall, on top of that, it doesn't really have the best reliability either. It's not bad, it's not awful or anything like that, but its reliability isn't great, and especially not when it's been neglected. So it's just a scary car to buy, and that's the reason why I wouldn't buy it. Sixth position is going to the wonderful Subaru WRX Blaubai. I've recommended buying the Blaubai in tons of videos before, tons of them, and I will probably continue to buy tons of videos, or not continue, I will probably continue to recommend buying the WRX Blaubai in most videos. So why is it here? Because this list is mainly for cars under $5,000, and if you find a Blaubai WRX for under $5,000, it's a horrible deal. There's no way that you found like a good deal. Like, it's most likely has tons of issues. Can you get lucky? Absolutely. I mean, one time I saw an SC300 for sale in Rhode Island for $5,000 with a manual transmission and 70,000 original miles with no issues, and it got eaten up in 3 hours. So obviously you could find stuff like that too with a WRX Blaubai. But overall, if you see if you see like a WRX Blaubai for like $4,500 and it's been listed for more than a week, there's a reason for that. It's a death trap. Don't buy that car. Fifth place is going to one that makes total sense, and I feel like everybody knew it was going to be on this list. It's the BMW 5 Series E60. This one's kind of interesting though, because it really depends on which trim level you get. If you get like the 535i, you're all right. But if you get a 540i, 550i, or obviously the M5, that's when you start to run into some issues. And the reason why is because these cars, most of the trim levels of the E60 have V8s, and German V8s have never really been that reliable. They just genuinely haven't. The E39 got it down pretty well, like the 4.4 liter, I think it is, V8 that was in the E39. That one was decently reliable, actually. It was pleasant. Then the E60 came along and just decided, nope. Especially, by the way, if you want to buy the M5. You're not finding an M5 for under 5K anyway, but if you do, partner, run. But either way, I would personally just recommend staying away from the E60. On top of that, the E60, I personally don't think that looks that good anyway. Just buy an E39. It's just such a better option. Fourth place, however, is going to the Toyota MR2 SW20. The SW20, you guys know exactly the reason as to why I put this puppy over here, but there's actually one hidden reason. So the first very obvious reason why I put the MR2 SW20 on this list is because of snap oversteer. In case you don't know, these cars are rear-wheel drive, and they have a rear or mid-engine, so their engine's mounted in pretty much behind you, and that causes for some very easy to spin out occasions. On top of that, the other reason is if it's under 5K, an MR2 SW20 under 5K, that thing is beat up. Just like the WRX Blaubai we were talking about earlier, it's the same way. Like, if you find one of these under 5K, there's a reason why nobody's buying it, because it's probably a piece of junk. You might think, oh, well, I can fix it up. No, if the guy's selling it, he doesn't want to fix it up. What makes you think you're going to want to? It's going to be an absolute nightmare. Just stay away from it. Save your money a little bit more and buy a better MR2 if you really want one. Third place, however, is going to the wonderful Chevy Camaro 3rd generation. This is the IROC generation, the really, really boxy one that came out in the 80s. I personally love the looks of these things. I think they're really, really good looking cars, but overall, they are, unfortunately, a pretty bad purchase right now. The reason why is pretty simple. They're underpowered as hell. They only make around like 140 horsepower with a V8 under the hood. That's really bad. And on top of that, they're just like the Tibron, have been neglected like crazy. Do you guys remember the Top Gear episode when Jeremy Clarkson bought a 3rd gen Camaro for his like car to travel across America with, and that thing was destroyed? Like, that's how most 3rd gen Camaros look like, especially the ones under 5K. If you spend like 10K, sure, you can find like a garage kept grandpa owned Camaro, and like that could be fine. But then at that point, you're spending like $10,000 to $15,000 for a car that makes 150 horsepower. Like, it's just not worth it. These cars are sadly so underpowered, sadly so neglected. Maybe in the future they'll come down though. Second place is one that I don't recommend ever in my videos, and just because I've always known that they've been awful. It's the Jaguar XType. The Jaguar XType is a car that's really, really cool looking. It looks sick. Like, I'll be the first to admit that it is an awesome looking car, but unfortunately under the hood there's not only not much there. Like, the X-Type really doesn't come with that great of a motor. Like, it doesn't have like a ton of horsepower or anything like that. It can't be like tuned to make a ton of horsepower either. It's really not like a good race car. But on top of that, that motor that doesn't make that much horsepower is also incredibly unreliable too. Pretty much any British car is honestly a really bad choice. I would just stay away from anything Mini Coopers, Jaguars. If you got the money, McLaren, stay away from them. Just stay away from those cars. But the X-Type in particular is one that I feel like is going to catch a lot of young people's eyes and be like, wow, that's a cool looking car, and then get blindsided by the absolutely horribly unreliable motor under the hood. Honorable mention time, baby. It's the wonderful Nissan 240SX S13. I have recommended this car in tons of videos, and I will continue to recommend this car in tons of videos because overall I think most people understand the S13. But if you're finding an S13 for less than $5,000, it's a horrible deal. Just like the Blaubai, just like the MR2. Again, these are the type of car, like, I hate to say that because it could be a good deal. You know, you could actually really genuinely find a good deal, but most of the time it's not. It's bad. It's under 5K for a reason. These cars are never under 5K anymore. And first place, this is obvious. I feel like everybody knew it was going to be on this list, but they probably just didn't expect it to be first, but I believe it really deserves to be first. It's the Mazda RX8. Obviously a super sick car. It's a track weapon. It looks really cool. Like, it's a Japanese sports car with a really unique motor, a rotary motor. That's awesome, but it is literally like notoriously a bad deal for under $5,000. Like, if you are in the car community for more than like 10 minutes, you'll learn that the RX8 is an awful purchase for under 5K. These things are horribly unreliable, incredibly hard to work on if you don't know rotaries, which you probably don't know rotaries. You might think, how hard could it be to learn? Insanely hard. It's not like you're just, it's completely different from a regular motor. It's completely different. So take how long it took you to learn how a regular motor works and do that again. That's how you'll have to learn. And it's just not worth it. It really isn't. If you know rotaries, if you are willing to take care of this thing like it needs to be taken care of, then yeah, it's not awful. You can get away with it. But overall, I feel like most people do not do that. So just stay clear from this car if you don't know what you're doing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Let me know how the new GoPro is doing. I feel like it's doing pretty good so far, so that's a good sign. Let me know what other videos you'd like to see in the comment section down below, of course. Obviously, we are so close to 100,000 subscribers, so go ahead, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers, tell the homeless man that you give a quarter to every day on the side of the road, tell him to go subscribe, tell them all to go subscribe to my channel. Go to the freaking Russian embassy in New York and tell the Russians there to subscribe to Mark Roden. Tell everybody to subscribe. I want everybody in the world to subscribe to Mark Roden. That's all I want, and then I'll be happy. That's it. Is that too much to ask? 8 billion people subscribe to my YouTube channel. Is that too much? Like, come on, man. Come on, I don't ask for much. But in all seriousness, thank you guys so much. We are so freaking close. I can almost feel it. I can almost taste it. It's right there on the tip of my tongue. It's right there. I see it. That's 100,000 subscribers right there on the tip of me tongue. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Das vidanya, and have a nice night.